Ayse Hogan, and this is the Chakra House of Healing. First off, I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. This is our Christmas special episode of Talk That Talk. Unfortunately, Tarek could not be with us today due to illness, so Matt Scherb has graciously accepted to take his place today and talk to me today about the power of forgiveness. So this is what we're talking about today. And I do a lot of forgiveness work in my practice. I didn't know it was going to be so much, like when I'm doing the hypnosis, when I'm taking people into past life, when I'm even just talking to them about, what they want to work on. I'm finding that they have a lot of anger. They have a lot of hurt feelings about whomever in their past. And it always leads to us eventually at some point during the session doing forgiveness. And as I said, I didn't expect it to be as much as I do. It's taking up a lot of my practice, which is really, really great. And it's powerful. It needs to happen. It's the only way that we can move further. And I mean, do you find that you're dealing with forgiveness a lot?
Yeah, I am. There's so many different ways, and it's at so many different levels, right? I mean, we're going into the holidays now. There's so many people coming home for the holidays.
Yes.
And so it starts to trigger a lot of things for people, right? And so as you're working through that from that perspective, absolutely. But it does happen at a lot of levels. There's so many different ways that you can clear it. You do work with people where you sort of take them back into those lives, right?
Right.
And
heal those lives and do our forgiveness.
Higher selves working together,
right?
So what does that kind of stuff look like?
So a lot of times when I'm taking people into a past life or when we're doing a regression, I take them into a place it's like the blue mist is what I call it. And it's the place where quiet sounds and gentle rhythms, and it's a safe place to be. And sometimes they can ask for their guides to be with them. Sometimes they want them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're fine. They can meet their spirit animals there as well, as some of our guides are animals. And they're able to ask their higher self to ask permission of the other person's higher self to have this discussion about forgiveness. And at this point, I've already got them to a point where they're ready to do the forgiveness. So we've done some pre-work up until this. So they go there, they give the forgiveness. Sometimes the other person is not interested in accepting the forgiveness. And I think what people need to realize with forgiveness is that it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's a completely selfish thing. Right? So you are doing forgiveness for your own healing.
Right.
If the person can accept the forgiveness, then guess what? It's good for their healing as well. If they choose not to, that's their path and something that they need to deal with. But right now I'm working with my client on what they need to deal with. Mm-hmm. So if the person accepts it, great. If they don't, that's okay too. But you feel better. That shouldn't affect how you perceive the forgiveness that you've given or that you've asked for.
Right. So some of the things that I do as well, sort of on a similar vein, is not so much connecting at that higher self perspective, but rather getting them to write out that forgiveness on paper using white paper, blue ink, and then burning it or tying it to a balloon and letting it go.
Yes.
Because you're sending that out to the ethers. And again, it's not necessarily about the other person accepting it, but that objective is out there.
And I think that people don't do the forgiveness because, one, they say, well, the person's passed away. I have done so much forgiveness with people that have passed away already. Or it's someone that they're not in contact with for whatever reason, because it could have been a traumatic situation that happened when they were children with some stranger. It could have been a lot of things, and they don't have contact with that person anymore, nor do they want to have contact with that person. So the interesting thing about forgiveness is people don't want to give it because they think, oh, well, now I have to be friends with that person, or now I have to have a relationship with that person. And that's not the case. That's not what forgiveness is about.
Yeah, they don't realize that they're actually harboring resentment with that, right? It's stuck inside them.
Right.
And it starts to manifest itself in many different ways in their physical, right? And so they don't really necessarily always tie those pieces together.
It's true. And I think that the other thing that's interesting about it is that if someone's hurt you in your past and you haven't forgiven them, then aren't they still kind of having that same power over you, like day after day after day, after minute after minute after minute, that you're not releasing it, mm-hmm. that you're not able to move past it?
Right, so it's liberating them as well.
Right.
Right.
So they're still able to have that power over you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people even see that. They don't recognize that either. That as long as I don't talk to them, it's okay, and I don't want to talk to them, and I hate them, or, and the hate. I hate them. That's a horrible feeling. Like how much damage is that doing to us?
Well, and that's also a vibration as well, right? So that hatred vibration, again, low vibration brings other things on for them. And so they really want to get into that higher place of forgiveness, releasing that, right? It's almost like you're taking a hot air balloon and it's really strapped down with all these extra weights. It's like cutting those pieces off so you can actually lift off, right? Because you can't, otherwise you're just going to be dragging your basket along the ground across those trees, and you really have to liberate yourself and bring yourself up.
Yeah, and which is super important. It's super important. And even like you were saying earlier, when we have to go to these family functions, I know I used to dread them. I did. I love my family, but I dreaded it because there's always drama. There's always stuff going on. And even though I get to a point in my life where, I've given the forgiveness, I still, when somebody calls and says, oh, we're having a family gathering, I still get that, that feeling, because it's not, I've already done my journey, but the people at the party or at the gathering have not possibly done it.
It's like that scab that gets pulled off, right? I mean,
so you still,
that element, right?
And you still have to figure out, how do I now communicate with those people? Because they've noticed a change in you. Mm-hmm. And so they're not sure on how to act around you, or they actually intensify the treatment that they may have given you in the past, trying to get that rise out of you that they once were able to get. And it's just like, do I really want to go there and put myself through this? And although you have to do the family obligation, and so you go. And I think it's all in our perception now. When I walk into these things, I walk in with a feeling of knowing that I love these people with all their flaws, and with all of the things that they've done, because they're still on their journey and they don't know any better.
When you're talking to clients about it, though, do you find as well that sometimes there's that mirror image, if they haven't released it completely, that those events seem to keep coming back into their life, almost
yes.
repeating themes?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's
absolutely.
That mirror image that they're sort of looking at. So when they're coming home for the holidays, spending time with family, it's kind of like, okay, have I truly released that? Is it coming back up? Right? They've done that work.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and I know, and that's exactly right, because when I think about, I like to make myself really relatable to clients without, focusing on my life that much, but it is the same thing. Like I had a previous episode with Tarek where we were talking about that, and we were saying, like, I used to always attract the same sort of negative people into my life. So it always felt like the same person but with a different head, but it was like the same person over and over and over again, because I was still putting out that energy.
Right.
I was still putting out that vibe that said, come this way.
Right, and that cycle's what you've got to really break.
Right.
You've got to snap that.
Yeah. So it's almost like that whole law of attraction that we talk about, where you sort of revamp, what you want, what type of people you want into your life.
Right.
And I think even that, like with law of attraction, when people are hearing about that, they just think, if I say that I want abundance, I'll just get it. And it's not like that. It's about saying it, feeling it, believing it, seeing it from the end. There are pieces to that. It's not just saying, I'm going to win the lottery this week. It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. Right. Sit yourself down in that car and smell that leather. It's not just that, right?
Right.
There's a lot more to it.
There's a lot more to it. You know what? I want to talk some more about this, but we're going to have to head to a Zen break. We'll be right back.
Qigong practice helps to regulate the breath. This movement is called pulling the bow. Its main benefit is to improve blood circulation and reduce fatigue. During practice, you are massaging and energizing the lungs. When we are faced with daily stress, our vital organs may become drained of vital energy. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes per day to revitalize, refresh, and be more productive. To help prevent fatigue during your busy day, practice pulling the bow in the morning. Repeat at least 4 times per side. Upon completion, rub your palms together and generate heat. Place your palms on your chest area and breathe in. On the out-breath, chant the healing sound of Daily practice of Qigong can help awaken your natural healing abilities, accumulate energy, and circulate well-being.
back from our Zen break. Now we've gone over forgiveness. Another great thing for us to talk about during this holiday season is gratitude.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we've done our forgiveness. Now what are we grateful for?
Right. As you get through the holidays, same idea. What are we grateful for? People always think of all the material things, the presents, the gifts, but what about the air that we breathe? What about all these different elements? And really, the attitude of gratitude is really big.
Yes.
It really, again, I speak a lot about vibration, but it changes the vibration of a person. If they're going to be grateful for things, just grateful for being together with family, or grateful to be able to even be in a place like Canada, or being in a place that's got peace going around.
Right.
Being able to spend time with family. There's so many things to be grateful
But even in a place of war, as long as you wake up and you're healthy and your family is okay, that's still something to be grateful for. I think we've lost a lot. Just when I look out there, I'm on a news fast all the time, so I really don't know what's going on around the world, and that's okay with me. But one of the things that I notice is that people, I think about what I used to get for Christmas, and I know that I sound like almost like an elderly person when I say this, but in my day, when I had Christmas as a child, we never had all these big gifts. There was no PS3, there was no Wii, there was no computers, there was no new cell phones.
Did you get that Pong with the little buttons?
No. I got a T-shirt once that said "Don't worry, be happy." Sorry, Dad. Yeah, I did get that. But and we were happy because we were together, and we just got to rip those presents open and do our thing. So
I think a lot of it has to do as well, though. You were able to play outdoors. You spent time out in nature, right?
We were outside from morning till night, and all I was hear my mom outside, Ayse, come inside, and we were playing hide and seek, and we were running through people's backyards and doing stuff, and it was a safe place to be.
Now on the opposite side of it, it's we're afraid, should the kids even be allowed to walk home from school? You don't know what's going on in the neighborhood. It's almost like we've come a whole full circle with regards to it. It was nothing for us to take the bus into the downtown core of a city. Now it's oh, do we really want to let the kids do that? What's going on with
right?
And so really coming back to that place of saying, what are the simple things in life that we can truly be grateful for, and how that changes things. We lose sight of that very quickly.
So grateful for, like you said, the air that we breathe, the meals that we're able to have together, our health, the fact that we're able to support ourselves, that we have friends and family in our lives. Oh God, it's endless. Getting into your car that day and knowing that you came home safely. These types of things that we take for granted.
What I find too is with some of my clients, the younger the children are, it's easier to indoctrinate that gratitude into them. The older they are, it actually becomes more difficult. If I sat down with my son when he was 8 years old and I'd say, okay, give me 5 things that you're grateful for before he goes to bed. That was simple. But whereas I took my teenagers, oh, Dad, do I really have to do that? What's the benefit of that? They've sort of come through life, and the younger you start, the better it is for them.
Plus, when teenagers go through their changes, their phases, and you're I'm not grateful for anything, right? And you should be.
Yeah.
You have a roof over your head, you have a family that loves you, you have you ate food today, because how many people in this world don't get to eat 3 meals a day and snacks in between and pick up their cell phone and they don't have that.
A lot also has to do with reframing. When you're sitting around the dinner table, what happened in your day is one thing. What's something good that happened in your day? Right? Just framing it. A little bit. And you can have a whole conversation about what's good that happened today, as opposed to calling it gratitude for the teenagers. What's something that happened today in your day that was really great? What did you enjoy today? It certainly changes things. It changes the conversation. It changes the resonance. It changes all of the conversation. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So I guess the message for the holidays, if we're going to give a message to anybody, it's forgiveness. And if you don't know how to do that forgiveness, then maybe you need to go see someone that can help you with that. And gratitude, to be grateful, every day. Try and be grateful for 10 things every day. If not 10, 5. Pick 5 things a day.
So do you tell your clients to write them down, or can it be in their head? How do you feel about that?
I think it depends on the client, because I have some clients that are visual, some that are auditory, some that are kinesthetic. So it really kind of depends on the client themselves. So if they're a visual, then I definitely want them to write that out.
Right.
You know, I want them to see it. You know, if they're auditory, then just say it. You know,
There's actually
I'm
an
grateful.
app. There's an app now that I just saw.
A gratitude app?
Gratitude
Okay, and that's
365.
good. That's awesome.
And you can just rhyme them off as many as you want, and it actually keeps track as to how you're being as far as grateful. Whether you've got 2 or 3 and what you're tracking over time. It's actually pretty cool.
Yep. And then sometimes you're not even grateful for the things that have happened to you, but you can be grateful for something that happened to someone else.
Sure.
You know, I'm grateful that that person went to the doctor today and they found out that nothing happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that they're in a good place, or you know, they went and they to that job interview and they got it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it doesn't, and that's another thing, is being that unselfish person and being happy for something that happens to somebody else, because it has to do with the higher good for all of us.
Sure.
Right? So the more positive energy we can put out there, the better it is.
Yeah, what goes out comes back 4 times stronger.
Yes.
Right, what goes out in the universe, it absolutely makes a big difference.
So, what are you grateful for?
Oh wow, there's so many things. It truly comes down to my family, being able to spend time with them over the holidays, and just really being able to just chill a little bit and just take some time for myself and with my family.
That's awesome. And I'm grateful that you came out to the show to help me today in Tarek's illness. And thank you so much again for all the things that you do. And I'd like to wish you a happy holiday season.
Grateful for wine.
Always grateful for wine. Thank you so much again for coming out. I want to thank you for joining us on the Chakra House of Healing today. You can always reach us at www.thechakrahouseofhealing.com, 647-559-3674. You can reach Matt at
905-399-5275.
for Possibility Omega.
Absolutely.
And thank you for coming out. Thank you to our sponsors for all that they do. Please subscribe to the show. See us on YouTube, on Vimeo, or the Big Book of Beauty. Once again, have a wonderful holiday season, and thanks for coming out.